minute or so for people.
Okay, perfect. That's your choice. No issue.
Just 1 minute. And
Okay.
morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on wherever you are joining in for this webinar. And today's topic is very near and dear to my heart, being involved in clinical research myself at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, in US. I'm very interested in what is going on with the clinical research scene in Pakistan, and have established multiple collaborative efforts to start clinical research and to make it more of a big foundation in Pakistan. So it's a distinct honor for me to welcome Professor Dr. Mohammad Raza Shah. Dr. Shah is associated with the International Center for Chemical and Biological Sciences of the H.E.J. Research Institute of Chemistry at University of Karachi. Dr. Shah is a very widely published person. He has published more than 450 research articles with a cumulative impact score of 1,500. In addition to that, he's also involved with the clinical evaluation of clinical trial sites from DRAP, or Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. Dr. Shah's primary research interest is with looking at nanoparticles, and he is involved with practical implications of nanoparticles. However, his other hat is being involved with clinical trials, and he has been a PI of multiple clinical phase 1 and phase 2 trials, and he has been involved with multinational pharma companies as a PI. He led the phase 1 clinical trial of Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine trial in Pakistan and successfully completed that trial. And he's also leading toxicological studies as a PI. Dr. Professor Mohammad Raza Shah has received Civil Award Tamgha Imtiaz from the President of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and he's fellow of multiple prestigious organizations and has supervised multiple PhDs and MPhils. And I can go on and on about Professor Raza Shah, but again, I would like to welcome him. And today, he will be focusing on the clinical research and clinical trial aspect of his research, not the primary research of nanoparticles that he has been involved. And we can perhaps invite him another time to discuss about that. Just some housekeeping rules is that if you have a question, please put that in the chat, and I will keep monitoring the chat. If there is something that we can interrupt, we can. Otherwise, we will end at the end of the session, we will open it up for question and answers. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Dr. Mohammad Raza Shah. Please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarfaraz, for such a nice and elaborated introductions. Let me first thank Dr. Ozair and his team who gave me the opportunity to just share information about the clinical research which we are conducting at H.E.J. Research Institute of Chemistry, which at International Center for Chemical and Biological Sciences. So this is just the topic like challenges and opportunities in the clinical research in Pakistan. I would be more talking about the opportunities because in this particular presentation, I would be just showing some of our facilities and the infrastructure which are necessary for the clinical research in the country. So being a pioneer in a research institute in the country, so I would just give you a journey and brief account of what we are having here for the clinical research, and then I will be open for the questions and discussions if there are any. So the clinical trial unit in International Center for Chemical and Biological Science is known by Center for Bioequivalence Studies and Clinical Research. So this is the center which mandate for research, and the clinical research and the staff involved in this research in this organization is mainly working and conducting clinical research. So let me just show you some organogram actually, and ICCBS is a part of University of Karachi, and then the ICCBS consists of three center, that is Dr. Punjwani Center, H.E.J, and Third World Center. And Center for Bioequivalence Studies and Clinical Research comes under the umbrella of the Dr. Punjwani Center for Molecular Medicines and Research. Then this center is divided again into three subsections: Bioanalytical and Bioequivalence Center, Contract Research Organization, and Clinical Trial Unit. So just I would be just quickly and brief introducing International Center for Chemical and Biological Sciences. It will just show you that the clinical research unit at the ICCBS is having a strong backup from the world-class center. So the infrastructures and the instrumental facilities having a strong backup. So that's why I would like to just introduce this briefly. The ICCBS is just a agglomeration of several centers, and which is shown in this slide. And it is the only institution in the country where there are an investment of 150 million US dollar on the instrumentation. So it's considered to be one of the finest institution in the country. In that terms, it's the only center in the country which is declared as UNESCO Category 2 Center in Chemical Sciences. It is also UNESCO Chair for Medicinal and Organic and Natural Product Chemistry. It is a WHO accredited center for pesticide analysis. It's the only center in the country which were declared twice by Islamic Developing Bank as best research institute in the Islamic world. It is also TWAS Center of Excellence. This is one of the most decorated center in the country, and my colleagues have received a number of international awards, which include national awards like civil awards and also international awards, which is shown in this slides, which just shows the credibility and the quality of the research work which are being conducted in this center. The center have already published now more than 9,000 research articles in the last 20 years, more than 300 national and international patents, over now 400 internationally circulated books. The total impact factor is extremely good. Similarly, citations and the MPhil PhD productivity is also exceptionally good. The developing grants are also the center have received a lot, and that this slide just shows. I'll just be quick in that. Similarly, the center is also providing services to various industry in the country, where the 600 industries are already getting support from our center. The state-of-the-art analytical and synthetic facilities are extremely important, and our high courts and Supreme Courts, they are availing these facilities, and they are considering our reports and assignments as the most credible one. We are also providing facilities for our pharmaceutical industry, especially in terms of clinical trials and bioequivalence studies. And these are some of our partners which are benefited from our research and our facilities. We are also providing services to the public, and it is we having St. Forensic DNA and Serology Laboratory, Food Testing Laboratory, Drug Testing Laboratory, Halal Products Research and Testing Facility, and COVID-19 Lab Diagnostic Tester. We were the only organization in the country which were conducting, especially in the Sindh province, the largest number of diagnostic tests for the COVID-19 patient. This is our laboratories where we BSL-3 laboratories where we were conducting tests for during this pandemic for the COVID-19, and this was run day and night. Several we have very close collaboration with the China, and several pharmaceutical companies have carried out clinical trials at Center for Bioequivalence Studies and Clinical Research. I led all these trial in ICC base. Similarly, we have Ethnomedicine Research Center, Sino-Pakistan Ethnomedicine Center, Sino-Pakistan Center for Industrial Biotechnology, and Sino-Pakistan Research Center on Viral Diseases. These are the facilities. In 2000, at the end of 2018, along with our former Federal Minister of Science and Technology, we visited the China, and there we signed a number of agreement of the clinical trials and clinical research in Pakistan. Let me just go through the pictures and just show you some of our buildings and research centers. So that I will be very quick. This is our oldest building, that is Hossein Ibrahim Jamal Research Institute of Chemistry. Then this is our Dr. Punjwani Center for Molecular Medicine and Drug Research. These are both are established with the public donation, with the private donation from the philanthropist. This is our Third World Center for Chemical Sciences. This is our biotechnology wing. This is again a center very close to my heart, because this is the area where I am conducting my own research. Latif Ibrahim Jamal Nanotechnology Center. Again, it is established with the donation of Hossein Ibrahim Jamal Foundation, and they just handed over this building to us, and it's fully functional, and we are working here in the area of nanotechnology. This is Jamil Rahman Center for Genome Research. This is actually again our synthetic buildings, that is we name after Professor Wolfgang Folter, who contributed a lot to the development of our center and trained a lot of our students. So this huge complex of building is named after him. We are having marine center and collection facility at near the ocean, Indian Oceans. And we in the hill area, we are also having a medicinal plant research center. This is a National Institute of Virology, where we are having a BSL-3 facilities, and research at on viral diseases are conducting here. We are having very good 2 animal houses. One animal house is for the normal animals, and the other is for the disease animal. We are having animal models for preclinical research for a number of diseases, and we are also having facilities here for toxicological research, that is for preclinical research, which is extremely important. This is again, this is Latif Ibrahim Jamal National Information Center. This is a paperless library where we are providing facility. For industrial support, we are having Industrial Analytical Center. It's again a very fine research center which providing services to the industry in the country. We are also having a technology incubation here, and the incubators are just working here, and they are developing their projects, and then they are going out to just build a startup companies. This is the Center of Bioequivalence Studies and Clinical Research, which is providing services to our pharmaceutical industry for the clinic. This center was approved in 2006. Actually, this was sponsored by Higher Education Commission, and we occupied the building in 2012. In fact, we occupied it is in January 2013. This is the only bioequivalence center in the country which is ISO 17025 accredited and ISO 9001 accredited. The name is reflected from the name that it is a Center for Bioequivalent Studies and Clinical Research. So under Bioequivalent Studies, we are having Bioavailability and Bioequivalence Center, while under the heading of the Clinical Research, we are having a CRO and Clinical Trial Unit. Our center is accredited we received a license to conduct clinical research on bioequivalence studies from Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. We also received license from the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan to act as a CRO. Similarly, we also received a license from Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan to act as a clinical trial site. Our center, this is the ISO 17025 accreditation from the Pakistan National Accreditation Council. This is the front view of the building. It is, as you can see, it is 32,600 square feet covered area. As per WHO and FDA guideline, all the required units are there, which are important for bioequivalent studies and clinical research. Like we are having a quality assurance unit, quality control unit, regulatory department, clinical unit, bioanalytical unit, receptions. And this organogram shows this is the basic unit which should be there. We are having a supporting units, like we have quality management system, HR unit, IT unit, and all the unit which should be there in a top quality bioequivalence centers are there in this centers, and all the standard SOPs are developed for all these units, and then there are staff available which are highly trained and qualified. These are some of the ward. These are all air conditioned ward. So we are having 7 wards for bioequivalent studies which contain more than 100 beds. So at one time, if a study involved 100 subjects, we can conduct studies easily in this center. We have a recreational area that is also important component of a bioequivalence center. So indoor recreational area are there for the volunteers. Similarly, medical doctor rooms is also there. Then we are having emergency care unit here, which we can tackle the emergency, and we have trained doctors and physicians available around the clock during the bioequivalence studies. Then the sample collection unit, we are having 6 sample collection small rooms, and these are as per WHO guideline. Actually, the center were established in consultation with the expert from the WHO, and the design, the WHO experts were also involved in the design of the building. So as per the guidelines, all the rooms are there in their specific position. So, and the space and everything is as per WHO and FDA guidelines. So there are 6 sample collection rooms which are adjacent to the processing rooms. We are having a standby -80 freezer available for the samples, and these -80 freezer are connected with the GSM devices, and these are properly computerized and documented. If anything happen, then through GSM devices, our emergency staff receive informations, and then they take care of. Beside these, we are also having standby these freezer as well beside these freezers. So there is also dining area for the volunteers. So at one time, more than 200 volunteers can easily take their lunches and breakfast. So there is a kitchen inside this dining area, and the food are prepared as per nutrition, as per study requirement inside this dining area. So there is a sufficient space available here. Similarly, the access control is documented as per the WHO guidelines. So access to the centers and various laboratories and various facilities are properly documented in our access control system, which is connected to our highly secured server. So anyone enter into the premises, it is the record is documented in our server electronically. Similarly, the safety infrastructure is also phenomenal. All the safety requirements which should be there in a top quality research institute are there, which involve fire extinguishers and also smoke detector and fire detector. I will be just going through them. The analytical facility is one of the best in this part of the world. In this particular building, we are having LCMS, GCMS, atomic absorption. So as you can see that if the drug is in metallic in nature, then we have atomic absorption. If the drug is volatile in nature, then we are having a GCMS. If the drug is very low in concentration in the plasma or in the blood, then we are having LCMS in our facility. Then if it is not the case, we are having then a number of HPLCs and FTIR. So state of the art analytical facilities, and then these analytical facility are having backup from the engineering and sections of the ICC base. We are having all trained engineer to keep these equipment functional. And then there are a number of other buildings which contain all these equipment. So if any one of these is broken down, then we are having a backup plan available and backup enough number of equipment. So that just keep our research in running and the trial in a smooth position. Here we are also having a pharmacy, dedicated pharmacy available. Just to show, this is our clinical trial unit. It's again having the same, more or less the same kind of organogram. That's having the same units available. That's again from the approved from the drug regulatory authority. These are some of the area. Informed consent room is their medical monitoring room and dosing area is there. Data management section is there, and archive facilities are also their investigator room and meeting rooms and sample collection rooms, and again ECU emergency care unit pharmacy is also there in this unit. And then we are having a standby ambulance available. We are having MOUs and agreement, in fact, agreement with the Patel Hospital, which is just 10-minute drives from here, and also agreement with the MOU with the Dow University Hospital. So in case of any adverse event in our facility, so their emergency unit is also accessible to us as per, and they are bound to provide these facilities to us as per their agreement and as per the requirement. And these are the ambulance of our center. Similarly, we have standby fire tender, and these are available around the clock. Safety equipment as per international standard, as I told you, available. Similarly, for the disposal of the biological waste, we are having a incinerator available, which is far away from the residential building. Shown all the buildings and everywhere there are safety signs, both in English and in Urdu. These are pasted in each buildings and each walls and rooms. So these are that just shows that we are very much concerned about the safety, and we value safety and security very much. Similarly, all the information is both languages, emergency phone numbers you will find in each and every place in the whole ICCBS and CBCR premises. Smoke detector and heat detector, both are installed in each and every room there. Similarly, we are also having a public address system. So any announcement made in this is just to be listened by people who are working in various laboratories. So this is the one. We also received a license from Drug Regulatory Authority to act as this is a separate facility to act as a CRO. that was necessary to conduct clinical trials and just avail the services of other clinical trial sites in the Karachi and other cities of Pakistan. This is our CRO, that's a separate facility, main office. Then we are having archive rooms available, so all the documents are archived there. Then the meeting rooms available, and our collaborating sites are basically, we are working with the Dow University hospitals. We conducted clinical trials together with the Dow University Hospital. We conducted a clinical trial of Chinese company which were approved from the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan here as well. So we are working closely with them, and we're having very good relationship with the Dow University Hospital. Similarly, we also work with the Indus Hospital. So in fact, I conducted 2 clinical trials with the Indus Hospital. One was on the Sinopharm vaccine. We use their facility to just conduct. There's a phase 1 clinical trial of Sinopharm vaccine in the Indus Hospital. I led that trial there. Similarly, we conducted another clinical trial on traditional Chinese medicines, which we used for the treatment of COVID-19 patient. And Indus Hospital were kind enough. They provided the patient and services to them, to us, and that trial we also conducted in the Indus Hospital, and I was a principal investigator of that trial, and we also published that results of that trial last month in top quality international journal, and the results were also very good. And these trials were approved from the our IRB of Indus Hospital, IRB of our center, National Bioethics Committee, and Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. So these all the trials were highly regulated, and we got approval from all the concerned quarter. Similarly, we also working with the Patel hospitals. They providing access to us for the patient. We also worked with the Creek General Hospital. We in a clinical trial, I led a clinical trial on pelvic inflammatory disease, which the Creek Hospital were kind enough who collaborated with us, and we used their facilities and their OPDs, and their doctors were also available all the times. So this the trial were conducted with the Creek General Hospital, and they were the results. We are still just working on them. We completed the recruitment process, and the trial will be unblinded very soon. Similarly, we are also working with the Zainab Panjwani Memorial Hospital, and these are all sites are approved from the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, because you cannot work with the site which is not approved from the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. So these sites are approved from the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. We also work with the Zainab Panjwani Memorial Hospitals on various trials. Similarly, I also worked with the South City Hospital, and actually during at one stage when I was conducted clinical trial, phase 1 clinical trial on Sinopharm vaccine, we were required healthy volunteers of age of 60 and above, which were very difficult to get in other part of city. So then with the South City Hospital, because in Pakistan, if a person is of the age of 60 or above, so it's difficult that it become healthy. They have some comorbidities and other diseases. So for us, it was very difficult at that time to get healthy volunteers of the age of 60 and above. But South City is actually located in the posh area. It's a highly privileged class. So that in that case, we recruited patient of subjects of highly privileged class, and we discovered that they were comparatively more healthy than the less privileged class. So this I worked with Dr. Sadia, the owner of this hospital, and she was kind enough to who just supported in our this clinical trial, and we successfully very quickly completed with her help. Similarly, we also work with the Jinnah Postgraduate Medical Center, JPMC. They we worked in two clinical trials there. One was on bronchitis and the other was again on women disease. So we had access to the OPDs of these hospitals. The dean and the executive directors both were very kind enough. Dean is very good friend of mine, Dr. Iqbal Afridi, who was kind enough to just support me all over the time. And similarly, the executive director, Dr. Simi Jamal, were also very kind, and she provided all kind of facilities and access there. We have conducted so far in our center before the formation of the clinical study committee and drug and biostudy rule 2017. Since we are working since 2012, we conducted the largest number of bioequivalent study in the country. That is, the 30 bioequivalent studies are conducted in our center, and these were mainly for the multinational companies and big companies, multinational companies just availed our facilities, and the reports were submitted to abroad and a number of international markets, and these were accepted, and they were very happy to do accept. Similarly, as I work very closely with the Chinese companies and Chinese government, so we conducted, our aim was to just introduce traditional Chinese medicine in Pakistan and Unani medicines in China. So that is the reason that we established one traditional Chinese medicines center in Pakistan and one Unani research medicine center in Changsha province of China. Our Professor Rahman and Professor Iqbal were involved, and they were instrumental in this whole process. So our aim was that the two countries should exchange knowledge, and they should get benefit from their own knowledge. So we started this in just 2019, and then, as you can see, we already completed 5 DREP approved clinical trials here. Similarly, preclinical research is again very important in the sense because in Pakistan, and this is the bottleneck that the drugs are not coming to the markets, and you are not able to just conduct clinical trial. So this is the reason I was very closely and involved in that we should develop toxicology laboratories and laboratories for the preclinical research, so we can conduct preclinical research in Pakistan, so that just smoothen the ground and just make us more just pave the way for the drug to be the marketed. So we establish toxicological laboratories, and then in my own research work, what we did, we mainly worked on the preclinical research, and that is we established animal model. That also we worked, we avail the facility of our own animal houses. We are having 2 very good animal houses. Similarly, we are also having collaboration with the Dow University Hospital, and they also provided access to us for their animal house. So we establish animal models of various diseases there, so that all the research work which is conducted in Pakistan, they should have all those preclinical studies which are mandatory from perspective of the regulation to be shifted to the phase 1 clinical trial. And that's the reason that we establish all the protocol for the preclinical research, and we also establish protocols for the toxicology studies, and now we are able to conduct preclinical studies and toxicological studies as per FDA guidelines. So that we adopted the FDA guidelines in this case, and now we are capable of doing this. And currently I conducted 10 toxicological studies of various products, and I led these trials, and we work extremely hard to make this functional. Similarly, we also conducted efficacy studies of preclinical research on arthritis models, cancer models, and liver cirrhosis model and other. And we publish these results in various good top quality international journals. So in this case, is one can say that from the preclinical research, we since in our institute, my colleagues and even myself, we are working at the interface of chemistry and biology. So we are synthesizing and isolating a large number of medicinally important molecule, and these how to shift these molecule from the bench to the market. So you need a preclinical research, and then you need a clinical research. So in the first instance, I established the clinical part of the research. Then I realized that what is lacking is the preclinical part. So then on the subsequent years, I worked extremely hard to establish good animal houses and protocols, and the protocol should be designed like this, that it should be accepted all over the world. And that what we in our institute, quality is more important than anything else. So that is what we establish in our organizations. And now, alhamdulillah, we are having a facilities where we can just conduct preclinical research, and that on the basis of that preclinical research, we can just conduct the clinical research, and after having that clinical research, then the product can be marketed. So there is a great potentials which is important both for the research and development, and also for the preclinical research and the clinical research. And our all the process and all the research facilities are having a regulatory cushion. So these are all approved from drug regulatory authority. Whatever research we are conducting, these are all approved. And we also just having a great emphasis on the training of our staff. So we used to send our staff abroad for the training. So all our staff are highly trained from abroad. And similarly, since we have an experience of conducting like 30 bioequivalence studies, which is phase 1 clinical trial, and after having that experience, so all the staff are highly experienced. Similarly, what I mostly emphasize is the SOPs and the procedures. So any process and any steps which is involved in our center, it should be documented, and there should be proper SOPs and procedure available or in place, whatever is conducted in our facility. So every equipment, every process that is involved in the clinical research or clinical research, there is SOPs. And let me share with you, just in the bioequivalence studies, we are having 256 SOPs and forms. So that just shows that even from just from procurement till submission of the report, each and everything is properly documented, and all the procedures are available, and these are properly there. So we value that. And similarly, we can provide services, a number of services, we are very good in the design of the protocol and the study based document. We are very good in the execution of the clinical trial, and we are equally good in the drafting of the report and also publishing of the results. And that's the reasons that we just completed the clinical trial of that COVID-19 patient, and we in a no time we published 2 articles out of their trials in top quality international journals. Similarly, the other is also, as soon as the report is ready, then we would also publish. So that is our strength. And similarly, our center is having a backup in terms of analytical facilities from the ICCBS, which is considered to be one of the best research institute in terms of analytical infrastructures in this part of the world. So that analytical, we have backup from those analytical facilities, which make us unique compared to other centers, other clinical trial unit in the world, because the engineering sections of the ICCBS to maintain these equipments are highly trained from abroad, and they are the people who are maintaining our analytical facilities as it is. Similarly, our locations, like we are situated one of the largest city in the world. Karachi is a mega city, so we have access to a number of patient pool, and that is we can target any kind of disease. Similarly, for the phase 1 clinical trial, where you need healthy volunteers, so there is a large number of population. So it's compared to other clinical trials in the rest of the world, we having the added advantage of being located in one of the largest city in the world. So we have access to to a large number of population, and we can conduct the trial easily, and having the capacity. Similarly, our center is a public sector organization, so we are not forced to earn money or just compromise the quality. So what is more important for us, the quality of the study. It's not like earning money, but rather than quality of the studies, plus supporting our pharmaceutical industries. So we supported our pharmaceutical industries with the help of our bioequivalence studies, and we are also now willing to support the clinical research in the country. So with this, I would just end up my presentation. So this is, I hope I just finished 2 minutes earlier than what 1 minute earlier than what I was told. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammad Raza Shah. This was an excellent overview, and of course, from your presentation, looks like that you're doing everything from animal studies to early clinical trials to early phase clinical trials to even late phases where you're looking at phase 3 and so forth. We have a panelists who are here. Dr. Zaid, Umar Hayat, and others are here. My one question to you before we ask the panelists to speak up is that what about the ethics and IRB regulatory oversight of your site? Do you have an internal IRB, or do you use a central IRB, and how do you fulfill that requirement?
Yeah, actually, we have Karachi University is having its own IRB, which is independent IRB, and the composition of that IRB is as per ICH guidelines. So whatever we are conducting here, so this is our first step. We cannot do any activity in our center without having approval from the IRB. So that is the first step. Second, if we are availing like OPDs and other facilities of other sites, we used to get approval from their IRB as well. In addition to this, in Pakistan, let me tell you that we are having National Biotech Committee. So it is also mandatory for us to get approval from the National Biotech Committee. So whatever studies we have conducted so far, that for those studies we got approval from the National Biotech Committee, our own IRB, and also IRB of the clinical trial sites which were involved. And then, of course, we used to get approval from the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. So once we have approval from Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, then we used to conduct our activities.
Thank you so much. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. Dr. Zair, if you have any comments as a panelist, please.
Thank you, Dr. Hasni and Professor Raza. I must say, we have been conducting these webinars for the last, say, like close to 2 years. And this is one of the most comprehensive presentation ever made. So fantastic, brilliant, visual, and excellent, very crisp. I must compliment you for such a great presentation. And we are proud that we have such a wonderful center in Pakistan where we can find out end-to-end solution. So you did emphasize about the training. So that is your own staff. So being part of Karachi University, do you offer some capacity building courses at a master level to the public in any life sciences department or something which is open to public, so that can be a useful information?
Yes, actually we are having, like in the month of June and July, 2 months we are offering internship to all the students which is from all over the country, and we used to advertise it. And this is in our clinical trial unit and our industrial analytical unit and our virology laboratory and our genome laboratory. So we are providing services to them. Similarly, we are also having a programs where we train the engineering sections of various universities. Like in Pakistan, when I was, when Professor Rahman was the chairman of the Higher Education Commission, so at that time he asked me that can I just compile a data of the various universities and equipments, what are their status. So I realized that there were a large number of equipments available in various departments of the Pakistan, but 90% of them were not functional either for one reason and another reason. And the main reason were the lack of top quality engineers who can maintain them. So that is the reason then I submitted my report to him, and then in our institute, then we started training programs for the engineers who can just maintain the sophisticated equipment. Similarly, there is like a number of training programs which we use to conduct, and these are for free. We do not charge anyone. So these are for free. The internship is for free, and training up engineers, and these are everything is for free, and we are always there to support various universities and departments of the Pakistan.
Thank you. As you mentioned, I'm really impressed that you have conducted, say, like over 30 bioequivalence studies. These are technically quite challenging bioequivalence studies, and it's, the industry is, the export-driven industry has to be, taking advantage of that. We have Dr. Umar Hayat. He is from the pharmaceutical, a veteran from the pharmaceutical industry, and he can just validate my viewpoint about the availability of bioequivalence study. And our pharmaceutical industry, which is close to like 650 billion Pakistani rupees, and which is growing at a rate of like 15 to 16%, which can be a great export earner in addition to creating the capacity. So Dr. Umar, would you please comment on this bioequivalence studies, please?
Sure, I will do. Thank you very much, Dr. Raza. I will have to second what Uzair said. We are really impressed and proud to have the institution like yours. I mean, it's a campus where you go from the preclinical all the way to the clinical studies. In terms of the bioequivalence, I have a couple of questions, how we say in our Western world, in God we trust and rest need to prove the data. So my first question is what you do in terms of what are the systems in place for data integrity? Because that's always a question when you submit to the regulated market. And then my second questions on the bioequivalence or bioavailability studies you guys have conducted. I mean, you conducted 30. And my question is, were they all successful? Means you have proven they were bioequivalent, or was there also where you have shown that, look, this doesn't meet the bioequivalence criteria?
Yeah, these are both wonderful questions. So I really happy to receive these because these were the area which I didn't touch due to lack of time. So I'm thankful to you that you just pointed out a very important area. Yeah, data integrity. Yes, that is what matter a lot for us. And with all our data is on our server, which is highly secured. Similarly, as I showed in the organogram, and from the organogram, as you can see that there are like quality assurance department, quality control department, regulatory department, and these are all independent. Similarly, we used to ask sponsor that you should have your own auditor. And that auditor should inspect our facility. Recently, then if they cannot access, if for any reason there is, so then we also provide remote access to the sponsor, that they should, like we are having very good IT facilities and CCTV facilities, which they can monitor the activity in live environment. So that is, let me also share with you that we conducted a clinical trial for MHRA, and that was on naloxone molecule, and they were extremely happy after going through all our facilities and all the process. So we are very much conscious, and I'm very much aware of this, that if I would like to just excel this center, then I should not compromise at any rate on the quality. So there is that what we are very much conscious about the quality and data integrity. What was your second question? Sorry, just
my second question was, out of 30, how many failed and how many
so nearly 50% of them were failed, and even more than 50, I would say. Like there were, if I just recall, so it is like 16 to 17, they didn't qualify the bioequivalence. So they end up at what we cannot do anything, because that is what is there. So
that was the exact reason I asked this question, because people tend to show that everything works fine, and that's not always the case. So I'm really impressed that that rate I was expecting, that should be the case. So the other question, the last question from me would be, have the data generated by your institute has been submitted to any regulated market, and was you inspected by any of those regulated markets? You mentioned the MHRA.
Yeah, actually the naloxone study were submitted to MHRA, and one of their regulator visited our facility. They inspected our facility, and they similarly we also conducted a WHO study, which the proposal were submitted to WHO. Inspectors from the WHO were involved in our study, and again, unfortunately, that study didn't qualify the bioequivalency. Actually, the product failed to qualify the bioequivalency. Normally, WHO put those products which qualify the bioequivalency. So unfortunately, in our case, it didn't qualify because the reference and the test product were not bioequivalent. And that is something, so that's why information is not there in the WHO website that we conducted.
So I think this is a great. I mean, your center is certainly bringing a lot of value. I mean, if pharma industry can come up with the development plans where they can have the bioequivalent product, that will certainly open the door for them to market in the regulated market, but also to be on the list of the essential drugs on the WHO's list. So glad you guys have. Thank you very much. I don't have any additional question. Thanks, Raza.
Thank you for our panelists. I think one of the questions that was put in the chat and probably very relevant to this series of clinical research is about developing collaborations, how APPNA and the folks who are doing clinical research and other and clinical trials in Pakistan, how can we collaborate, how we can move this forward? And somebody in the chat also put in the same question. Do you see any avenues of collaborations, or how, what would be the next step? How do we move this forward?
You know that we are very much open for the collaboration, and similarly, Dr. Ojari, it's for you or it's for me?
It's for you, basically.
It's for me. Okay.
But Dr. Ojari can also answer because he's, one of the panelists.
Okay.
So yeah. So I think the question we always sort of wondered that what can we do? For example, like I'm involved in clinical research, and then you are involved in clinical research there, and how can we come together on the APPNA platform and then move this forward?
Yeah. Actually, our facility is available to APPNA platforms and all over Pakistan whoever want to conduct preclinical research and clinical research. So we are very much open and available for all kind of collaborations, and especially people in Pakistan knows the capacity of our center, and similarly that so and with Dr. Ozair and other colleagues, we are very much open and we are very much willing to collaborate.
So I think one comment I will make is, given you have the setup in place and you have the personals who are well trained, and you have certain models. I saw a lot of models like mostly the dermal sensitization and irritation. These are low-hanging fruits, and I think we should take advantage of those. And most of the companies, I will suggest, at this point, I mean, if you ask me, given you have not been inspected or audited by any regulatory body, I mean, when I say regulatory means the EMA and the FDA, the proof of concept study. I mean, this is such a case where you can do it in Pakistan, and once you have that confidence that there is a signal, either in terms of the efficacy or in terms of the bioequivalence or in terms of even the tox studies, then you can do a full-blown study in US or anywhere else. But I think you have provided, but what amazes to me is there is a platform. Okay. How good that platform is, that certainly evolves over time. Rome was not built overnight. So I think that's perfect. But I'm really impressed that the platform you have, it encompasses everything you need to start a development, pharmaceutical development.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we have reached our 1 hour mark. And if there are no further questions or discussions, again, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Mohammad Raza Shah for his very broad overview of the clinical research facilities that he is heading at the H.E.J Institute at University of Karachi. And at the same time, I would like to thank Dr. Saeed Uzair and Dr. Umar Hayat for joining as panelists. And of course, I would like to thank the Waleed and other support staff from APPNA and all the participants for joining in for this very important discussion. With this, we will like to end, and thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much.